Hi there, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. Today we're continuing on with discussions about the case community, looking at Bob Farrell's response and thoughts about the return of Salty Pancakes back on YouTube. A new channel has popped on up. Is he allowed to do it? Maybe, maybe not, but we just see it from Bob's point of view. Any possibilities of returning back to the Dylan Rounds case? Like, there's different ways of looking at it, and I'll summarize it briefly now, we get into it later, that you might see the return of people, familiar faces coming on back, and even if promises were made back then, they can be broken, they can return back to Dylan Rounds. What are the positives? More talk, more coverage, more focus once again, inside of a one-man army band having to do it all. But the negatives, more noise again, arguably more than ever, more confusion, more BS, more Chinese whispers, a disaster. Depends how you look at it. We'll get more into it later on today, and we'll look at visually the comments. Also, what I do want to do, and I don't know if I'll have to repeat this afterwards, but when people said they noticed a pattern that possibly when I was doing videos and I was looking back at comments of other people's posts and videos, that was somehow the reason behind why my actual videos were limited and why YouTube were originally targeting me. Well, let's put it to the test today. We look at additional comments and we see what happens. It's the only way to experiment, right? To get to the truth, to get to the end result, okay? As well, more importantly, we're actually going to be looking at the latest reply and post by Candice Cooley, and it is regarding Brenner's court appearance being delayed and pushed back. I just wanted to see what her overall tone of voice was. You get what I'm saying? And look at the comments and see if there's any replies too. Maybe a bit more information is shared. We'll find out. As well, Justin Rounds made a post as well. It's quite an important one. It's more to do with, in memory of Dylan Rounds, certain possible items and material lost. So obviously people out there will probably twist and turn it in a negative way, this coverage right now, but maybe you can say it's like spreading awareness of, if you come across this, maybe reach out to Justin Rounds. As said, more about that later on. We follow a certain order today. If there is time, maybe check the maps and go from there. As for last night's video, if you haven't already checked it out, you're interested in aliens, UFOs, that type of stuff, or you're interested in Dylan Rounds predictions, make sure to check out the video last night. Should be a link down below in the pinned comment section. I also did another live stream last night in the dark, which was quite successful. Before we go any further, shout out to Org and Badger Life for their super chats last night. Very good of them. And as well, I believe of today, shout out to Megs or Megan, a long-time viewer popping back on in with their presence and super chat. Very good of them as well, so appreciate that. And you know, throughout this video, you can share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. And you know, you can talk about a range of other stuff. This video is coming out maybe like 5 minutes earlier this time round, just to try and shuffle around with the time in general. Tyler. That's a good sign, okay? Bless me, that's a good sign. But might do a live tonight, okay? Another live stream. Just see the timing, maybe a little bit shorter tonight, just so it's a bit more practical, okay? It was kind of hard to sleep last night, probably because it was like 1 minute doing videos, next minute suddenly going to bed, not allowing the body to settle down, if that makes sense. Obviously, there's always that possibility to just simply do a live stream one other night, much earlier on, around the time of when these videos come out, and just simply replace that for this. And that would work, to be honest. I mean, well, actually, when would be the most practical of times? If I was doing like an on-the-spot talk with no script and no additional material, and I was able to talk about something, then I would do a live stream. And I think what I might do in the future, just for the sake of it. One, experimenting, and two, to see if it leads to any positives or different outcomes. If there is ever any drama or conflict, and I do like a response or my thoughts on it at the time, and if it's fresh and recent, if I've got to defend myself, whatever, I'll do it in a live stream format. So then if people do want to ask questions, they can. Or if people do want to come on in with grievances, they can do that too. So I think that's what I'll do in the future, okay? As for the whole setup, the live streams and the format, that's perfectly fine. And I guess like afterwards, once it's ended the stream, it's already up on YouTube, which is pretty good. Don't really have to do really any editing either. So it's very time efficient and efficient in general. So take that into consideration down the line, okay? But yeah, is there anything else to highlight? I mean, I was going to look back at the comments of last night's video or so, but didn't really need to because there wasn't that many comments and really not much about Dylan Brown's. One maybe pattern I've noticed is that if I do a hybrid video, a 2-in-1, it's actually more detrimental. You know, if you're trying to spread awareness on a certain topic or subject, it's best separating them apart. I mean, I used to tie two things together just because of the length of the video. So there's enough time for people to react and chat because it's in a live video premiere format. But I guess it is like an important video that needs to be made, even if it's short, just keep it separate from anything else so the message doesn't go unnoticed. You don't want it to go unnoticed because, you know, it could be very important. You want as many people to know about something. So I think instead of reading out the comments, what I'm actually going to do right now is share with you my thoughts on the Dylan Brown's case, and maybe around just a general theme of what are people's motives when it comes to covering the case. You know, maybe the question could be more aimed at content creators, people on YouTube and further afar. Why do they cover the case? What's the whole reason, purpose and motive? Okay. Of course, not everyone is present right here, right now on screen to give their side of the story, but you can leave comments down below to your thoughts if you wish to. Sometimes it's good to know the motive or a rough idea of why people cover it, talk about the case in general, especially with all the cloudiness and darkness in the community. Shed a bit of light in some areas, provide a better context and understanding, right? So as for the part-timers, you know, the big established YouTube channels that may come on in and do a singular video on the case, or the odd one every now and then, once a month, once every 6 months, you know, that's to be expected because they're juggling a range of different true crime cases and missing people reports, right? So they can't just stick just to one. But then arguably, maybe they just simply don't have the ability, the knowledge or the capacity to stick with one. I mean, take this in comparison, okay? Yeah, I've uploaded 371 videos now in the Dylan Brown's case. Yeah, I've uploaded about 250 plus videos on the Kenny Veach case and many other bits and bobs in between. At the end of the day, when I started doing YouTube more properly, when I went from a nobody to a bit more established as for the channel itself, from 2020 onwards, it's been what, like 3 years or something. Within 3 years, I've covered 2 cases and that's it. Have I only covered 2 cases because that's all I can actually do? No, I've covered 2 cases because I've been interested in them. So to be able to be interested in cases like that, then it enables you to, you know, go on longer than others. If I did cover a case I wasn't as interested in or know as much about, and I couldn't really apply previous stuff, then yeah, maybe it would be cut shorter. I mean, look at the Idaho 4 case. Sure, I'm late to it, and I don't know all the knowledge, and maybe, I don't know, it hadn't got the same impact or feeling behind it for me now because it's kind of like, it's already underway and approaching the court cases, and it's just about waiting for that. Whereas if you're on the ride from the beginning or early on and you follow the wave in a certain direction, a bit more of a live atmosphere, and that might sound a bit weird, that, but when it's a bit more live and ongoing and you're in the moment, you can take it in better. And there's all kinds of twists and turns around the corner. I mean, because there's the thing, whether it be true crime, missing people, mysteries, serial killer case files, people may interpret it as interesting, some people may interpret it as fun, but when you use the word fun, that's portrayed by others as inappropriate and bad and evil. You know, it's not fun, it's not a laughing matter, you shouldn't be enjoying it. But what did I normally say in general? In general, when you're doing something, whatever it might be, as long as you're having fun, that's what matters, because then that's what equals performance. And if there's performance, there is a delivery, and done well. And when you're covering something as important as a missing person case, trying to solve it, make sense of it, clear up dead ends, or just simply keep it alive, you want the focus, you want the consistency, you need the frequency to keep it alive, and you want that performance to be present so it can be done successful. So when you look at it that way, in that order, it's a bit more understandable, right? I mean, sometimes I might be like, oh, interesting, let's look into what's happened and all this, but maybe I don't go as deep as other people in terms of in here thinking, right, I really need to look at someone's brain, I need to like fiddle around with it and try and understand what's gone wrong inside for them to do that. I don't go as far as that entirely, okay? Maybe that's what separates me from others, possibly. But, you know, we've covered the part about, you know, bigger YouTube channels every now and then coming on in. They covered a case because it's a case for them to cover, right? And that's simply it. They do YouTube, that's what they do, and they cover that type of topic and theme. So it makes sense there. They don't go to the same depth, they don't go to the same frequency, but at the same time, they don't really cause much trouble either. They might not do much research at times, but at least they're not causing too much trouble, right? So I guess there's that you could highlight. And it's been noted in the Kenny Veach case as well. Many people not doing the research, they just tell the same old story. Not that it harms the case too much, but it's kind of frustrating, right? Especially if you've, you know, got to a breakthrough within the case and it's just not being acknowledged or appreciated by others out there, outsiders. But just one of those things, right? With the Dylan Rounds case, it's not really been quite like that, I don't think. And maybe with all the rumours and talk and noise, when you do get the generic channels coming on in, talking about the case, the basic story, maybe it's for the best. So there's always something grounded in the background on that occasion. So I get that. What about the more focused individuals or the more well-known typical characters and names that cover their stuff? I mean, when it comes to Salty Pancakes, he didn't even have a channel to begin with. It was a Dylan Rounds case, which, you know, made his presence birthed into YouTube, right? And then it went from there. There'll be people, I'm sure, watching in the background that can fill in the context of motives behind Pancakes and why he involved himself in the Dylan Rounds case to begin with. Me personally, I don't know. I just saw him pop up at one point and then him being, you know, boots on ground really early on. That's about it. When it comes to Ty Corbin out there, helping, assisting, doing what he does. Motive behind that, helping the community out. I believe that's how he said in the past, helping each other out. Why not? Looking out for one another. And then I think there's a background motive, what other people have talked about, okay? I don't know if this is true. I don't know if it is. But some people over time have basically said the reason why Ty Corbin is very determined to find Dylan Rounds is because people or someone he knew in the past of a certain age or younger ended up going missing and was never found. And that impacted Ty Corbin in that sense. So he wants to finish what he started. He wants to find Dylan and be successful there. And maybe in his mindset, right the wrongs from the past, even though it wasn't his fault. It just depends what goes on in here, right? You can end up blaming yourself, right, for not being able to find someone. You torture yourself over time, and then down the line when somebody else has gone missing and it's within the area, you attach your personal backstory and personal past experience to what's going on here. You relate in a way and are more determined than ever. On the verge of being obsessed? I don't think so. I don't think so, because Ty Corbin hasn't gone over the top with videos created, right? He's still doing other stuff. He's still taking breaks, even if it is only for one day, when he says he's going for a month. But a little motive there, right? What about Lance Kelly? Maybe just like along the lines of helping the community out, maybe. As said, if you want to fill in the blank spots, you can do down below. I know other people will say the motive is, well, it was an opportunity for Lance Kelly, etc., to do this and do that and exploit it in some way. That's what some people have said. I don't know the full backstory to how or why the person got involved. All I will say is, when we're looking at that news report in the past, I think it was an interview on Lance Kelly that he was in the local food bank of Montello at the time. Justin Rounds came on down, I guess, asking for help or, you know, have you seen this person? And that's how they started, you know, getting talking, forming a bit of a rapport, friendship, and going from there. And I think that might have been one of the catalysts which triggered it, that awareness and being in the proximity of nearby to Dylan going missing. You got to understand that quite a few of these people that are helping, trying to look for Dylan in some way or another, may have not really known Dylan personally or to a deep level. So there is that. I mean, once again, there are more, in some way or another, there are more people covering the case at a point in time, putting more effort in those who don't even really know Dylan compared to some out there that do know Dylan and haven't done as much. I don't know. No point going too deep down that because it'll probably cause some people to get triggered, right? Anyone else? JT, motive for covering it at the time. That's what he did, and previous stuff as well. Him reaching out to families, families reaching out to him, whether it ends good or bad. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it went from there. What was the motive, though, for continuing on covering the case despite being fired from being the private investigator? Was it a long-standing grudge with Candice Cooley wanting to prove her wrong, that even if you do see me as the bad guy, I am the one to find Dylan at the end of it, and then you can apologise to me? Is that some kind of bit of like a narcissistic trait there to prove people wrong? I don't know. Or is it just that simple drive of competitiveness within? Because look, this is the thing, whilst people have the different motives and stuff, maybe one of the key consistent factors with a lot of people in this case that cover it to begin with, even when it hasn't gone too well or it's backfired or people have said that, oh, I'm giving up, I'm walking away, or I'm taking a break from this pettiness, I'm getting away from the drama, and then returns back the next day or ends up talking to the person that they don't like, but still talks still, which doesn't make any sense. Certain elements, the consensus, I would say probably the human evolutionary competitiveness. Competitiveness in being the first and only one to find Dylan Rounds, to be at the top, the king of the hill. Although maybe no one will admit it, that could be going on in here with some, right? And it wasn't so much that part, just being the one on top of the food chain hierarchical structure to hold the information and drip feed it to everyone else so that one person feels more powerful over other people. You know, levels of competitiveness, levels of outdoing one another, treat it like a competition. That's what I would say, right? You think about it just in general, like in real life, was it paparazzi, photographers, news reporters, wanting to get the latest scoop before everybody else, all competing against one another, certain tactics used, unfavourable ones, etc. Yeah, it can get messy, right? So it can also apply online, regardless, things can happen, right? Now, anybody else I missed out? Maybe I did, but you can list your own thoughts down below. As for, you know, just viewers' motive, well, because they're interested in that type of topic and subject. Pretty simple as there, I would say. As for the people on different channels and communities that might be present on a channel, got nothing to do with Dylan Rounds in their mindset, but they're still present, talking about completely different stuff. That's probably just because they might be friends with someone who's present there, who just happens to be interested in the Dylan Rounds case, and that's why they're there, and then others tag along after, possibly. But if we were to revert all the way back to Warlike Ralph, what is Warlike Ralph's motive when it comes to covering the Dylan Rounds case? And aside from the motive, the aim, okay? The aim as well. What's the aim with other people out there? I mean, with Ty Corbin, Lance Kelly, the aim to locate Dylan Rounds remains, right? Salty Pancakes. I think the aim was to interview people to get the story out and learn about the case, alternative information, Jim Terry, kind of the same thing, get a hold of material, media, never obtained before. But it was more prove certain theories as facts, get the story that way. And you think about it, at this point in the case, where are we at this point in the case? That's what you got to ask yourself as the viewer. Are we still in the process of trying to find who is guilty? I mean, technically speaking, Brenner, it focuses mainly on him. Sure, other people out there could still be responsible, but the main focus is on Brenner. So there was some movement at a point in time. Not much else happening, right? Kind of unfortunate, but something has happened. And it's more to do with awaiting the court trial, the court case, to then see what information is shared with the general public, if that is the case, to learn more about it. And as I said, from now till then, and from back then, it's more just waiting. And when one is waiting, what else happens? Discussions build, talking, trying to understand, come up with their own theories and ideas. It's a normal thing to happen. Sure, other people get bored, walk away, and only come back once there's a true update, but others will remain, right? And to fill that space, it'll be filled with noise. And in some areas, some people, it's not always going to end well, right? And that's simply because we've seen this pattern all over from back then. So it's kind of making a return right now. That's what I'm going to say. So just be prepared, be ready, end of the day. So if we're in the process of someone technically has been charged with the murder of Dylan Rounds and desecration, okay, court documents show evidence which incriminates Brenner, okay, so what now? And what has it been since the start of the summer kicking on him from back then? Locating Dylan Rounds' remains specifically. Now, out of all the people covering the case, who's in the right place, the right time, and the right position to be doing something like that? Ty Corbin, Lance Kelly. Although not seen in a positive light by some and more so family members of Dylan Rounds, I understand that, because they're out there physically and within the location. At a point in time, they were capable of maybe coming across the remains. As Candice Cooley has worded it in recent time, and I think in the documentary, that if you used to go out there now, you can't just suddenly walk and expect to stumble upon the remains of Dylan Rounds. More than likely, he's buried in the ground somewhere. And if you're going to go out there searching, most likely you'll have to be digging up the land. And have these people been doing that, besides the family? On and off. They can't be digging up everything. And if they did, I don't know if that would cause more trouble than good, right? So there's an aim behind it. Maybe not everyone agrees with it, but it kind of makes sense. When you get other people online covering the case because they're not physically there, what's their aim? Are they in a position or right to cover it? Some people will say yes, other people will say no. As for the aim, methods tie hand in hand together, at least in my opinion, whilst I've covered the Dylan Rounds case, and it applied from the beginning, was first of all to get an understanding of the case, where things are at, what's going on, then to compare, contrast, find any contradictions, any levels of hypocrisy, and measure that, and then try and question why. Then it was implementing certain methods, map coverage, photo analysis, before and after pics, etc. to make sense. Then maybe looking back just before the event, was there any early warning signs, any foreshadowing events that might have explained what happened next, that type of stuff. In the presence of noise and disruption, methods there to simply clear it up. Well, maybe at first to avoid it, first of all, and then slowly clear it up down the line, the cleanup job, right? And whether it's been cleaning up mess, debunking things, reinforcing stuff, making sense of the case overall in general as best as one can. One thing that's always remained consistent is a level of frequency when focusing on the case. And when there's frequency, consistency, it means the case is being talked about. And for some time, that will extend the life of the case, and it won't go cold like others as soon. Does that make sense? So yeah, it's like I try and keep the case alive, and have tried for all this time, whilst making sense of it and learning about it on the spot, right? So that's kind of like how I've gone about things. And, you know, the way I see it within the case, different people, different roles, different tasks, different positions, all can work. Not so much all work together in a really happy way, but just simply each role has a certain important aspect and depth behind it. You got boots on ground individuals and operators, okay? Then you might have some media people that will talk about the story and publicize it, etc., as we've seen. Then you get the inner ones that are coming up with all the different thoughts and ideas within reason, right? And maybe applying it further and going from there. Other people have done ideas and talks, but it's ended up going a bit too off subject or a bit too messy. And I know other people will like longer videos and stuff, but I find it kind of hard to catch up or keep up with everything talked about in a 10-hour long video, or even a 3-4 hour long one. That's why I've kind of broken it up over time. So I think with appropriately focusing as best as one can, one topic at a time or one theme within a case at the time, is prolong the length of coverage on the case, right? You know, other people out there who may have done 4, 5, 6 hour live streams could have made maybe 5 to 10 separate videos on those individual talking points, maybe. Might have been easier to follow and track, and it would have provided more video opportunities for people to upload to their channel as well, right? I mean, yeah, this is my first time properly covering true crime, but because it was to do with a missing person at first, and it was in a desert, I was able to transition from Kenny Veach to Dylan Rounds, right? When I was covering the Kenny Veach case, was my aim in my mind at the time, keep the case alive, maybe towards the end. But back then, it was more so out of pure interest and intrigue with the mystery, and that was it. Not having to go too psychological, not having to go too deep there, but just simply, what can we see? Is there anything spooky or creepy going on? Can anything be found before anybody else notices it? In a kind of fun, exciting way, what can you find what other people can't? What can you see or hear which others have glanced over? It was like that. With the Dylan Rounds case, not quite the same. Maybe for the people who have been boots on ground back then, present. But when it comes to more the online aspect, it's just simply talking it through, coming up with the ideas. And to be fair, some of the ideas, or most of them, what I've referred to when doing the storytime map analysis, it's ended up tying in line with the updates provided by Candice Cooley just in Rounds, and how things could have possibly played out. So it goes to show that having the same wavelength in a way, despite being able to think for oneself. So yeah, I just wanted to add that little theme and talk into the beginning of this video, the motives, the reasons, the aim behind people, and, you know, why they're here present and how they cover it, right? So I've explained my side. Maybe other people will down the line. I mean, what we can do now is transition on to some of the main part of this video. Welcome if you have suddenly joined. Be sure to rewind back if you want to catch up on the Dylan Rounds discussions. Right now, we're going on to the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page to see what Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds have had to say most recently. Let's start off with Candice Cooley. Here we are. Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page. There's Candice Cooley's response. We'll get to that in a second. Just want to say that everything that we're looking at on screen is all of, you know, public view. This is a public page on Facebook, all publicly viewable. All right. So, Candice Cooley, 15th of August, fairly recent, recapping on the hearing. So, Gloria and Dylan did appear. It only lasted for 2 minutes, but let's just see Candice Cooley's response about it. What does she think and feel? Hearing update. Brenner did have a hearing today and a continuance was issued. A new hearing scheduled in October. Our frustration continues to mount as we move through the justice system, but this was the last continuance and hopefully we will get some forward momentum. In the meantime, Justin Rounds, myself and all of Dylan's family want to say thank you for the continued support. It means more than the words can say. Okay, and about 82 comments as well. We'll see what people have to say there. Do you know when it says continuance was issued? Is that some kind of legal term or something? Or does it just simply mean that the anticipation of getting on with the court proceedings continues on, dragged out? Does anyone know? I mean, I'm sure I've heard of the word continuance before. I've just not really seen it used that much in sentences. So just a quick thought there. But where Candice Cooley says, but this was the last continuance and hopefully we will get some forward momentum. So are they saying that the next time it comes round, that's going to be it? Movement, success, underway? Is that what Candice Cooley's referring to? I mean, any keywords here? She says, hopefully we will get some forward momentum. So she's not confident, she's hoping. Wishful thinking, maybe? I guess we'll see how time goes, right? Obviously, the closer it gets to Christmas, pushing it, likely going to carry on over to the new year, right? And just in general, forward momentum. What does Candice Cooley mean there? Forward momentum in getting the general public to protest and, you know, call out the justice system and the state of Utah once again because of how the case has been handled. Will it lead to something like that? A petition, people calling on in, sending emails, kind of like how it happened with the LE in the past, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office. Will we see a return of that repeat? Let's check the comments, see what people have to say. I'll probably skip through quite a few of them if it's like, you know, not much going on. Kathy, I pray he'll be found. Justice, prayers. Yeah, mainly prayers, right? Krista says, oh my goodness, this is super frustrating. Thoughts and prayers continue. Prayers Dylan will be found. I pray Brenner softens his heart and lets you all know where Dylan is. Does anyone in the chat think that Brenner will soften his heart and open up? You think? I really don't think so. Jackie Williamson and Candice Cooley has responded to this, so let's begin reading. Jackie says, I'm truly sorry to read that nothing is going to happen until October, but more than that, who has the jurisdiction over this decision and on what grounds, please? It seems to me, having followed the disappearance of your son since the beginning, it's about time that the judicial system should not delay this any further and take into account that you and all family have been subjected to one of the worst, most incompetent police investigations I've ever been aware of. The word compassion is appallingly bypassed. The piece of scum that is the defendant seems to have ruled the roost from the start right up until now, with more than a helping hand from the men in uniform, which is indefensible. It doesn't take a genius to realise that he is 100% guilty. It's time that Dylan, you and yours were the number one priority in the eyes of the law. I've no words that will lessen what you are feeling, but I send my heartfelt wishes, as before. You're reunited from the UK because of the Union Jack. Okay. Interesting. Responses. What's this? A continuance may be requested when a party needs additional time to appear on a matter or comply with a court order. The prosecution, the defence, or the judge may continue a hearing. Wait, so that continuance, is that to do with what we've heard from Indiana's comment passed on from Glor and Dellen about how Brenner's attorney was like, oh, I'm dealing with so much stuff at the moment, we can't do it right now, so they need more time, and that's what the continuance is. That would make sense. What does Candice Cooley say? Jackie Williamson, the defence actually only wanted until September the 11th, but unfortunately, where Brenner is in federal custody, we have a minimum of 6 weeks in between hearings in order to have Brenner moved. I agree our justice system is extremely slow and unfair to victims. I also agree that the Box Elder Sheriff's Department is incompetent and negligent, amongst other things. With that being said, I want people to know that the Box Elder Prosecuting Attorney's Office has handled Dylan's case in a professional and timely manner, and we have no complaints with their department. Okay, provides a bit more backstory there to some people. Let me know your thoughts in the chat, your reaction to Candice Cooley's response. Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. Oh, what's this? Susan saying, did someone mention a documentary about this case? Jasmine saying, sad if someone does this, making money from the family's grief and trauma. Oh, what's this actually on about? Is Susan talking about the official Dylan Rounds documentary, or more so about another person out there making a documentary? And Jasmine is saying that it would be sad if someone does that to make money off the trauma. Was there something about Jim Terry saying he received a call to appear in some kind of documentary on the Dylan Rounds case? I can't remember. Does it ring a bell to anyone? Let me know down below. I'm just wondering if that's what this comment on screen was about. Patiently waiting. Wow, I can't believe this. We are all with you guys, Candice, on waiting for this BS. Yep. Thoughts, prayers, thoughts, prayers. You'll continue being the thoughts, prayers. Just saying, Candice, I'm sorry to hear about that and the delay. I can't even begin to imagine. Perseverance in the pursuit of finding Dylan. Strong. Yeah, she'd be a better cop than a lot who showed up the first day. A few good ones. So Tina believes that Candice Cooley would be a great cop. Okay. Oh, we got Catherine Harder Smith. What does she say? Well, October isn't that far off. The prosecutor only has one chance to get to trial and get a conviction, so the continuance might give them more time to fit every I and cross every T and make sure their case against Brenner is delivered flawlessly. Seems like they have the evidence to make a conviction, and no-brained, but you never know when the case goes to a jury how they perceive the information and evidence given. So hopefully they're using the extra time wisely. Dylan deserves justice and the whole world is waiting for it. Hopefully, as a trial date beats, Brenner realizes the cards are stacked against him and has the human decency to give the location of Dylan's precious body. His family needs that. I hope Brenner thinks about the fact that his soul is going to burn in hell and feels compelled to try to save his own soul by telling where Dylan is. How can he leave Dylan's family hanging and wondering, needing to bring their loved one home is beyond cruel. But if Brenner has been described as cold or kind of cool, is he going to display much emotion? You know, you got to look backwards at the past. Times when Brenner's friends may have been physically hurt or in danger. Did Brenner at any point ever show a sign of remorse, concern for somebody's safety? Did he step on in? Has he ever cried, ever got emotional over somebody? If he has, maybe there's a very small chance he'll do it with Dylan. But if he hasn't done it for his own friends back then, what makes you think Brenner is going to open up about Dylan's remains and location? I don't think there'd be any chance at all, based off those conditions, in my opinion, right? Anything else to mention here? No, not really. A few more comments there. The journey. Stay strong, stay strong. Thank you for the update. Oh boy, the history he has should be a slam dunk. He admitted to Candice Cooley he moved Dylan's boots because he wasn't coming back, but he was not home, he said. Correct. We know he took Dylan's truck, or why was the seat fine for Candice getting in? Dylan's legs are a lot longer than Candice. Everything under their noses, as Candice has said. It was all there on day one. That place should have been watched 24/7 till someone was arrested, because how does one who is finally getting his way to earn more money than Brenner could ever imagine, and that word was so jealous of Dylan's drive, he needs to rot in jail or death row. Right, so is there anything a bit dodgy here? Maybe just how it was worded towards the top, where it says, "We know Brenner took Dylan's truck, or why was the seat fine for Candice getting in?" Right. Well, we don't 100% know that Brenner did take Dylan's truck and take it somewhere. It seems likely. There are certain factors which can point in that direction, and there's endless possibilities. But I wouldn't say at any point I have seen evidence 100% to show complete certainty and confidence that that's exactly what happened, and Brenner was the exact individual responsible for it. You get what I'm saying? I've talked about it quite a few times. I've theorised with ideas and only ideas about the possibilities of if Brenner was behind the wheel of Dylan's pickup truck and where he could have possibly gone. All I'd say is the only possibility which could have further reinforced that somebody may have used it besides Dylan would have been the mileage. 100 miles, where did the truck get up to? Where did it go? Somewhere out of the ordinary? In the middle of nowhere? Near a cave, a mine shaft? If it did, then likely that could have been the spot where Dylan was disposed, or maybe at one point disposed, right? But we'll never know about that because that was lost and there's no way of retrieving it. You know, that's what I would say. Move on. The legal system can be frustrating, especially when considering the delay of justice for this waste breathes in jail. He knows where Dylan is and putting the family through the pain. But whilst Brenner does this, he is benefiting in a way. He's, playing the puppet master at that moment. Okay, he's locked up, but to maintain some form of power to claw it back, with him arguably being the one with the keys to, the outcome. He's just dragging it out. Do we have any additional post down here? Not from the looks of it. You get all these sunflowers and stuff in the name of Dylan Rounds, honouring him, which all makes sense. Jazz Girls in there, which we've already seen about the documentary. What's this one? Someone called Kelly Lynn Greenwood. Don't know who this person is. 14th of October 2022. Some time ago now. Let's just have a quick look. What does it say here? Thank you, Candice Cooley, for giving your great interviews with all the different creators on YouTube. I pray every day for you and your family. I admire your strength and I couldn't imagine all the pain and heartache you must be suffering. I pray to God something gives in this case soon. I wish I could do more to help. I am only a mod in the YouTube community and have no channel. Dylan is the one to help me find my passion for true crime I was unaware of. Thanks to him, I found a new family. So now, even though it's a small, he is making changes everywhere for everyone. He is still farming. It's just another kind of crop. You raised a boy who made a difference to so many. And as he plants a piece of himself into all of us, you get to watch him grow all over again. It's a sad substitute for your little boy, but thank you for giving us a little part of him. Anyway, God bless 28 Alice. Oh, okay, so this person, Kelly Lynn Greenwood, is 28 Alice, and there's the profile picture. And before anybody in the chat gets their pants in a twist, first and foremost, this is all publicly available. This is all public information. This is a public Facebook page, and this person has publicly announced that they're known as 28 Alice. Okay? It's all here on the screen. It's all public. Simple as. No need to get your pants in a twist. Understand the language and wording there. So where to say I found a community to be around, that will be the pancake potato pickers. But you know what the key thing is, and it's kind of coincidental timing how in this video the theme, the message at the beginning was, what are people's motives and reasons behind coverage on the Dylan Rounds case? And 28 Alice describes it here, really. Thanks to him, I found a new family on YouTube. So now, even though it's small, he's making changes everywhere. And, you know, getting me involved in the true crime community, which I was never aware of to begin with, but my passion has been found. So there you go. Just goes to show how people can get involved in some way or another. Obviously, 28 Alice says she doesn't have a channel, but technically everybody on YouTube has a channel in some way or another. Providing, you know, you're able to leave comments, you've got a channel, right? Did Candice ever respond? No, she didn't. Oh well. As well, do you know what the interesting thing is? For the people that want to look further back on the drama, the conflict, and the hardliners, and the people all over the place over time who may have been okay at the start and then changed with time, you can look back at the archived posts and comments and just see how people behaved. Probably the best examples would be the interviews and the live guest panels way back at the start of the Dylan Brown's case. You look back then and you'll see everyone, or quite a few people, all smiling and joking, and then it all decayed and broke down. Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. What we'll look at now is the post by Justin Rounds on his page. Here we go. So this was 16th of August. Justin says, well, I'm a dumbass. I lost my phone today whilst fueling a truck. I set it on the frame. I had a little conversation in my head. I told myself, hey, dummy, you will forget it. Put it in your pocket. I replied to myself, don't worry, I'll remember after I put the cap back on. Well, I forgot in the 5-second time frame. I lost all of my pics, photos, and even worse, I lost all of my text conversations with Dylan Rounds. Nothing was backed up as far as my untech savvy can figure out. If anyone has any ideas to get those text back, I'd be forever grateful. I'm getting awfully weird lately sharing the things I have lately, I know. Wait. Hold on. This could arguably change the whole title of this one video just off the last sentence, what Justin typed here. This could possibly highlight that Justin Rounds obviously, well, possibly knows more than others, and it's getting a bit weird, reality kicking on in. Everybody watching right here, right now, and those in the background, make sure to listen up. Is there too much to analyse here? Not really. The overall thing here is that Justin Rounds, from at least what's been mentioned here, he lost his phone. And that phone has photos of Dylan Rounds and obviously the text messages before Dylan Rounds went missing. So to lose something like that, you're losing a piece of Dylan, you're losing a key memory, which isn't a good thing. So I don't know if it will give a location of where it was lost, but just as a heads up, just as a heads up that if any of you present come across Justin Rounds' phone, just feel free to let him know, okay? I know majority of the people watching right now may not be from the area, but if you are, and you come across it or see something, maybe just tell Justin and let him know, okay? Let's just see if there's any backstory. And don't worry, we will return to that important line, what Justin said at the end shortly, don't we? What's said here. I don't know if it's possible, but if you have an iPhone, you might be able to track it with your new phone. Yeah. Justin saying, I do have an iPhone. All your photos will be saved on the cloud. Get a new phone, log into your Apple account, and they'll be there. Or report it as stolen to your carrier so you can lock the phone. Trevin, I know if I lose mine, I can set an alarm off with my watch. I don't. Right, so he doesn't have an alarm or a watch. Okay. Reading this post, looking like a mirror. Okay. Normally backs it up. You could call Apple. Sorry to hear that. Have you checked every crack or crevice in the truck? What's mentioned here? I did a couple of times and I walked the highway 2 miles both way from Shelley towards Firth. Okay, so between Shelley and Firth is where it could be at. Okay. Is this in Idaho, I assume? Do you think it still has power? Maybe we could drive down the road and see if it lights up when we call it. Justin, I doubt it. It was an old phone that had to be charged all the time. I'm positive it has been smashed to pieces. I usually don't drive like I like the drivers to drive. I'm always in a hurry. Okay. So that's kind of unfortunate, that, right? I mean, yeah, I'm sure there'll be photos of Dylan Rounds elsewhere, but those text messages are obviously personal to him. So, yeah. Lost a phone. Some kid found it, took all his money in Venmo. The money was all collected, but it was a big pain. If you have any cash apps, I'd suggest logging on and locking it down. I don't have any money anyway, plus I'm too dumb to try to figure out Venmo. I don't know why they didn't teach this stuff in school. Huh. There has to be a way. What does that say? Oh, iPhone stolen many times. Recovering messages is still possible if you've backed up your iPhone via iTunes. Sometimes in the past, even if your backup was not recent, all your text messages and iMessages that are stored in any previous backup on your computer can be accessed with the help of Decipher text message. Decipher text message runs on your Windows or Mac computer, and the program will automatically read in and display all your iTunes backups. The free version will immediately let you see if you have any SMS, text messages, or iMessages available. Okay. I'm only just looking at the comments here to see if there was an update from Justin. You never know. I believe Verizon can get all those texts if you tell them it's for an investigation. Justin saying yes, but it's not for an investigation. They don't know that. Basically, just for more urgency, I get that. Where do you think you lost it? Justin says, Travers Cox from Hard Times Truck Fuel Station in Shelley to Idaho Supreme just before Firth somewhere. So there's that location. Anyone present watching right now or watching later in the background, if you know of that location, if you're within the location and find the phone, feel free to let Justin Rounds know about it, as it's arguably important to him. Okay? This is just like a little heads up, right? I'm going to take a couple of guys to walk it tomorrow morning. Right. You got a new iPhone. Okay. Go to apps using iCloud and turn on messages. If your old phone had messages on, you should be able to get your text. If not, go to your service provider, right? First of all, you're not weird and you're not dumb. Either way, try to go to your settings and click iCloud. Okay. Any more responses from Justin? Not from the looks of it. Right, so there is that. Just wanted to let you know. But really, the interesting part is, and everyone watching right now, make sure to focus, is at the very end of that paragraph by Justin, where Justin Round says, I'm getting awfully weird lately sharing the things I have lately, I know. What does that mean, though? I'm getting awfully weird lately sharing the things I have lately, I know. Weird in the sense of opening up to people online or revealing things which have not been talked about beforehand. I don't know. I mean, Justin Rounds in the past calling out Don Hatley a few times didn't seem weird to him back then, and that was back then. So has anything changed? Huh. I'm getting awfully weird lately sharing the things I have. I don't know what that means. Is that cryptic or just emotions at the time because of what's ongoing with the Dylan Rounds case? Let me know your comments down below, though. Obviously, I'll take into consideration the title of the video to make it appropriate, but still relevant. So besides that, the only other thing we just take a brief look at, as well as the experimentation to see if YouTube or someone in the background is targeting me, is just to look at the point of view and perspective opinion of Bob Farrell towards Salty Pancakes. As recent times, Salty Pancakes has re-emerged on YouTube, okay? You know, we're just simply taking a look at it. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, this will be interpreted in a negative light. and some of the potato pickers out there will get triggered by this if they haven't already, but this is just simply looking at someone's opinion out there, right? That's it. And before we go any further, maybe because it will help elaborate things, if you got the likes of Salty Pancakes returning back, is there also a chance that he might return back to the Dylan Rounds case? Maybe, maybe not. I guess it just depends what goes on. I mean, Salty Pancakes recently or whenever said, oh, I'm moving on, moving in a different direction, I'm backing down, I'm moving away. I think what Salty Pancakes has demonstrated with time is the wounded animal effect, where you whimper into a corner, you pretend that you're hurt, you pretend that you're vulnerable, you back away, shy off, and then suddenly you make a full recovery, hallelujah, and return back the next day. That's kind of like what's happened with, I guess, on YouTube. I guess he's probably still focusing on Rumble, but, you know, having the YouTube platform back once again opens up new opportunities, right? So it's just like what to expect for the future. People returning back, that could be positive in creating new discussions and more research in some way. But as we've seen in the past with patterns, it can also follow and come with negative events taking place. So be prepared for negative things to happen once again in the Dylan Rounds community if people do return back, okay? Just make sure you're ready so you can avoid and, you know, do damage limitation for yourself and maybe others, etc. Okay? Let's just go on Bob Farrell's post and just see what was mentioned, okay? So the first post here randomly by Bob saying, this is the one I love the most. I need to find a sugar mama for sure. It's just something about the older ones I love. Wait, is Bob Farrell saying he prefers the older sugar mamas or he prefers the older vehicles as displayed on screen? I don't know. There's not much context there. Bit dodgy. Looks like an old bus conversion. Nice. Oh, shout out to Augusta, if that's how you say his name. They've appeared on my channel recently, so that's good. But yeah, Bob Farrell needs a sugar mama. I wonder if Joy Perry will act as the tribute for that. Anyway, moving on. So we've got a couple here, but we're just really focusing on this one here, right? Is there any way of just clicking read more? No. Got to do it from here. Apologies if it is a bit zoomed out, not much can do about it, but I'll read it and you can listen if you want. So Bob says, I love how Salty Pancakes has made a new channel. Well, I'm not sure he is behind it, but I'm sure one of his followers have. I have to ask, what the hell? Why make videos and make them so no one can comment on it? I find that strange. Who is behind this, or is someone else doing it and using Salty's name? Well, you know, the thing is, you would turn the comment section off because you don't want the resistance. You don't want all the nasty messengers. That's why you would do that. And even though Bob Farrell isn't too confident that Pancakes is behind it, the new account showing up, it wouldn't surprise me, just simply be because in the past, Salty Pancakes was known for limiting the comment section, restricting the comment section, turning and disabling the comments off at times when things were going downhill for him or the community. So to prevent being attacked, you'd turn the comment section off. That's what Pancakes did back then. And if we're seeing it right here, right now, similarities. And when you see similarities, it could be of the same person, right? In terms of behavior. Anyway, what else do we have? I find that strange. Okay. Someone else doing it in the name. Nothing surprising me really on YouTube. After 14 months of the BS and what he has done to how many people, 500, let's say, and someone is still saying he is a good man, and I shouldn't call and report him to his police department. Get a life. The amount of money he collected from people, then he shat all over them, called them horrible names. There are people out there that feel sorry for Pancakes. I got a good doctor and you need to speak with him because you a nutbag. There's a man who has at least 5 kids. Only one of them he knows. The rest of them know nothing about their father. And that's a good thing. And yet he talks crap about Jim Terry. having a daughter and not paying for her. Look in the mirror, Mike. After 25 years of doing lawn care, what do you have to show for it? Nothing at all. After 27 years on my job, Mike, I have a great pension, healthcare, and a career that taught me many things about people like you. I don't really care about people's past. I can be friends with folks who have been in trouble with the law. We all make mistakes, but it's time for you to leave the internet. Take all of your fake names, channels, and leave for good, because someday one of them judges are gonna go ban you from ever being on the internet. Better to start now and leave. GoFundMe, you are banned from because of the fraud you did there. Just keep taking the free bus to the casino. Maybe you will win some money, and then you can buy some beer and additional stuff and not have your friends buy it for you. What a joke you turned out to be. But before you leave us here on YouTube, how about telling us everything about the Wadsworths that you know? Kurt Wadsworth said it the other night. He told you many secrets. Hell, tell us now, what do you know? Taylina will get over it in time. Tell us everything. I know you missed the free additions from Kurt Wadsworth and a little pat on your behind from him. What? Pinched on the bottom? But tell us, Mike, I want to know all that you know. What was the big mistake that happened that night with Dylan? Remember, he said, Kurt Wadsworth, it wasn't supposed to happen that way. I remember the wording just like he said it yesterday. Just saying yesterday. And Ellen Berg also said, yes, we are here to tell all. And then the video was edited and those words were taken out of the video. Kurt and Ellen Berg never said what happened. And to this day, no one know what you are going to say to us, Kurt and Ellen. So, Pancakes, tell us all what happened to him and who did it. Kurt has said many times he knows for a fact that Jim Brenner drove that grain truck back to the shed, that Dylan didn't. Wow. And that's why his fingerprints were all over the truck. All we heard from Kurt that Dylan was at the bottom of some well. Damn, that was like 6 months ago. I guess no one checked out that well, or it was just another BS story from Kurt. Did you get your money back from Taylina? The $1,000 for Kurt's computer. Laughing my ass off, you ass. Giving Kurt Wadsworth's daughter money for a computer, like Ellen said to us last night. Why hasn't Kurt gone to get his piece of junk back home from the grain shed property? For some reason, he wants nothing to do with it. A machine worth, I'm sure, a few bucks, $5,000 or so. I know it needs new tyres on it. There are a few bullet holes in them rear tyres. Someone was a good shot up close to the machine. Mike, call Kurt, ask him if he gets using for RV for sale. I saw one by his bar in a picture one time, a Chevy Class C. Maybe he will sell it to me for $1,000 and you can get your money back for the computer. I want an RV so bad. I loved a Wonder Lodge and old... Okay. Well, time for me to go eat my dinner. Dirty Jersey. I'm done with typing for now. Nice talking with you and the crew. Right. I see. So, anyone in the chat, let me know your thoughts, reactions here. I mean, a bit about Dylan supposedly not taking his grain truck to the grain shed because he wasn't able to. Ties in with what Corey has said, but, you know, just because there's a level of consistency doesn't mean to say that there's a high level of truth. Not always. Anything else here? It's just like a long paragraph, basically, that Bob Farrell believes strongly that Salty Pancakes knows more than other people, but Pancakes isn't opening up and it could be detrimental to the case. Any comments? Well, there's 2 comments, but they're not showing up. There you go. So sometimes, just as a heads up for people out there, if you go to the comments and they don't always show up, but it says there's like a few there, but invisible, select the filter to the newest and they should show up. So Gorgeous Stoney said, Bob, get a life. You are as pathetic as the next creator. You know, accept how to gamble. You need to zip it. Chub rock. Never heard that before. And what's this one? Laura saying, no way am I reading all that. The first 2 sentences was enough for me. But how in the hell can you blame Salty Pancakes for making a new channel and then turn around and say, well, maybe it's one of his people? How the hell do you know who it is? It's possible it's somebody that has nothing to do with Salty or his crew. I love how you just blame whoever the hell you want for things. I really can't wait until YouTube catches up with your channel and takes it away. Ban evaders on your channel and panels, and that they're still doing the same they did of what they lost their channel. You should have listened at the beginning, Bob, before they were ever on your channel. Not only did I tell you, you let them on, you're going to lose your channel, but I know multiple others told you to. Yes, I know you think everybody is full of it because you still have your channel, but sometimes it can take YouTube a couple months to catch up with you. Trust and believe YouTube will catch up with you and your channel will be bye-bye just like your buddies. Right, so yeah, there we go. So just as a brief heads up, this is the Salty Crew channel, already at 836 subscribers, 8 videos already posted to do with online harassment, spreading awareness of it, spreading awareness on human trafficking. This sounds kind of familiar, that, doesn't it? So for people in the background to say that this isn't Salty Pancakes, no, Pancakes isn't behind it, in terms of the methods and actions taken already, such as the comment section being restricted or blocked in some way in one of the videos or two, that was done by Pancakes in the past. By talking about awareness on harassment and human trafficking, Pancakes has been very passionate about that in recent time, and also labelling people under the sun under those forms of crimes without any evidence or proof. So we're seeing crossovers here, but there's a high level that, you know, high chance that people will say this isn't Salty Pancakes, and there'll be a couple of people out there who will obviously say, you can't prove it. You can't prove this is Salty Pancakes. Sometimes one doesn't need proof. An observation is more than enough. Although officially, legally and formally, that's not enough. For one, their mindset and how to follow accordingly is more than enough. Not everyone has it under control though. You get me? But, you know, the first thing Salty Pancakes supposedly does, returning back to YouTube, is by uploading videos to do with Jim Terry. Calling out Ty Corbyn, saying Ty Corbyn lying, relentless threats and harassment by him. Exposing online harassment, Jim Terry and the brothers. It's all about Jim Terry and Ty Corbyn, okay? Channels, about section. Joined 13th of August 2023. Right, so a very new channel on YouTube. Is this considered ban evading? I don't know. So yeah, just wanted to let you know about that, and that's how it appears on YouTube. In case you're interested in visiting the channel, checking it out. So to an extent, it does look like my predictions are already coming true, that I've predicted them once again. We're coming full circle. Same type of behavior, references, themes, topics, and background stuff, noise, approaching, to be expected. I've still got videos to cover on the Dylan Rounds case specifically. Still got the odd outside of the box video idea. And then once that's done, I see where I go from there. As for now, hopefully you enjoyed this video specifically. And leave your comments down below and questions. I'll see you next time. But for now, thanks for watching, goodbye, and good night.